At Quilchena Ranch, daybreak finds cowboys on horseback herding cattle across thousands of acres of open range. The ranch runs thousands of cows over 28,000 acres of deeded and leased land, making it one of British Columbia's larger working ranches. Despite the vast terrain and herd size, a tight-knit crew of only about half a dozen full-time cowboys manages the cattle, aided by a remuda of roughly 80 ranch-bred horses. Each morning, these seasoned ranch hands saddle up before sunrise, their breath visible in the crisp air, ready to check pastures, move herd groups, and ensure the livestock are healthy and safe. It's one of the few places left where cowboying is still done on horseback rather than ATVs, and that authenticity permeates daily life. Teamwork between people and animals is the backbone of operations. Quarter horses are the ranch's invaluable partners, specially bred and trained to work cattle in this rough country. Every cowboy keeps a string of about 10 horses, rotating their mounts so no single horse is overworked. Thanks to this practice, even during the busiest seasons of calving and roundups, each horse usually works only one day a week. This ensures the horses stay strong and eager, especially when it's time for the intense fall roundup where their natural cow sense shines in sorting and cutting cattle. In fact, the ranch's horse program has been so renowned that the American Quarter Horse Association honored it with the Best Remuda Award, recognizing the exceptional quality of Quilchena's herd of working horses. From sleek cow ponies deftly maneuvering through sagebrush to sturdy brood mares raising the next generation of foals, horses are as much a part of Quilchena's identity as the cattle themselves. The cattle, mostly Hereford Angus stock, well-suited to the semi-arid rangeland, spend summers grazing on the high pastures and crown rangeland and winters on the valley's rich grass meadows. This seasonal rotation is key to the ranch's efficiency. Through spring and summer, the herd spreads out over expansive leased rangeland in the surrounding hills, foraging on indigenous blue bunch wheatgrass and wild clover. Come autumn, as frosts creep in, the cowboys drive the herd down to lower ranch-owned fields along Nicola Lake. Here, ample hay and silage, all grown on the ranch, sustain the cattle through the cold months. This practice of following the grass means cattle graze longer and need fewer days on fed hay, a cost-saving strategy that Quilchena and its neighboring ranches have honed over generations. The result is healthier cattle and a lighter footprint on the land, since native pastures get ample rest and recovery under careful grazing schedules. Throughout the year, the work follows nature's cycle. In late winter and early spring, calving season arrives, a busy and hopeful time as hundreds of calves are born on the ranch. Cowboys keep close watch on the heifers and new mothers, sometimes riding out at midnight under crisp stars to assist a difficult birth. By branding time in spring, the ranch crew and local helpers gather for long days of roping, vaccinating, tagging, and branding the calves, each now bearing Quilchena's historic Rafter Q brand on its flank. It's dirty, tiring work, but a necessary ritual to protect herd health and establish ownership in an area where cattle from multiple ranches might mingle on open range. Every calf also gets a tiny RFID ear tag, a high-tech touch that allows digital tracking of its origins and health records as part of Canada's quality assurance for beef. Tradition and technology ride side by side here. One minute, a ranch hand might be carefully trimming a young steer's horns to avoid future injury fees, and the next, they're in the ranch office uploading cattle weight data to an online system. By summer's end, yearling cattle, now robust after months of grazing, are rounded up for market. In a modern twist on the old auction yard, Quilchena Ranch pioneered its own live e-auction hosted right from the ranch's historic hotel banquet room. Rather than trucking all the animals to a distant sale barn, the ranch sets up cameras and internet bidding screens. Prospective buyers from across the country can bid in real time as images of Quilchena's sleek, grass-fat yearlings are projected on the big screen. This innovation has paid off. By strategically timing their sale a bit earlier than most ranches, Quilchena often nets higher prices and avoids the seasonal price slump. For example, one year the ranch sold its cattle in August via the e-auction and earned 96 cents per pound, while prices a month later dropped to 87 cents. These kinds of savvy adjustments can spell the difference between profit and loss in the tough cattle business. Even so, margins are slim and the work is hard. Quilchena employs a core of about 5 to 6 full-time ranch hands and up to 10 part-timers in peak season, and everyone wears multiple hats to get the job done, from mending fences and fixing tractors to guiding stray cattle out of a bog. There's no 9 to 5 here. It's sun up to sundown, powered by strong coffee and a stronger work ethic. Yet, ask any of Quilchena's cowboys, and they'll tell you they wouldn't trade this life for any other, because every day brings the freedom of the open range and the pride of continuing a legacy under the endless sky. As the ranch's old-timers like to say, Quilchena has been here for 100 years, and with care and dedication, it'll be here for 100 more.
Running a ranch of Quilchena's scale isn't just about riding horses, it's also a complex business venture. Over the years, the families behind Quilchena Ranch have made shrewd investments and adaptations to keep the operation profitable and sustainable even in lean times. One key asset is land. The ranch encompasses roughly 12,000 hectares, that's about 28,000 acres, of prime ranch land ranging from lakeside flats to upland grasslands. It also holds grazing leases on an additional 16,000 hectares of crown range, giving the cattle room to roam far and wide. This vast land base, much of it protected under British Columbia's Agricultural Land Reserve, is the foundation of the business, not just for raising cattle, but also for producing feed and hosting tourists. Land is legacy here, and the owners have taken steps to both monetize and safeguard it for future generations. One example of balancing land stewardship with financial pragmatism came in the early 2000s. Facing a tough cattle market and the fallout from a BSE, mad cow disease, export ban, the family needed new income to stay afloat. Their solution was to carefully develop and sell a small portion of ranch land as country residential lots without harming the core ranching operation. In 2004, Quilchena subdivided a 45-hectare tract on the edge of the property into 44 lots, which sold like hotcakes at prices starting around $155,000. These ranchette lots, offering buyers a slice of the Nicola Valley lifestyle, generated vital cash flow that helped the ranch ride out the market slump. Just as importantly, the subdivision was planned to support the generational transfer of the ranch. Several lots were set aside so that each of the ranch founders' great-grandchildren could build a home on Quilchena soil if they wished. In this way, the Rose and Guichon descendants ensured both the financial survival of the ranch and their family's personal stake in it. Creative land development like this can be a double-edged sword for ranches, but in Quilchena's case, it was done thoughtfully, bundling the remaining rangelands under protective covenants while letting a small piece go to new owners. The payoff was significant. It kept Quilchena independent and in family hands at a time when many other BC ranches were being sold to outside investors. Technology and diversification have been other pillars of Quilchena's business strategy. On the agricultural front, the ranch operates a large farming division dedicated to growing winter feed for the cattle. Using over 7,000 acres of irrigated hayfields spread across its divisions, the ranch produces more than 45,000 metric tons of feed annually, from grass and alfalfa silage to oats, barley, and haylage. Impressively, this output meets virtually all of the herd's winter nutritional needs. Quilchena typically buys no additional feed, apart from mineral supplements. By being self-sufficient in forage, the ranch insulates itself from volatile feed prices and ensures quality control over what its cattle eat. Achieving these yields has required significant investment in modern farming infrastructure. Over the past decade, Quilchena, together with its parent company, Douglas Lake Cattle Company, has heavily invested in pivot irrigation systems, those giant rotating sprinkler arms seen in the fields, to improve water efficiency and crop consistency. The pivots deliver uniform watering that has boosted hay yields while actually reducing overall water use, a smart adaptation as climate patterns become drier. Tractors equipped with GPS guidance, high-capacity balers, silage choppers, and fleets of hay trucks all kick into high gear during the summer harvest, when up to 30 seasonal workers join the effort. Embracing these technologies and scale has turned Quilchena's farming operation into a well-oiled machine, one that ensures the cattle are well-fed and the ranch stays profitable even when beef prices fluctuate. Quilchena's leadership has also shown a knack for innovation in ranch management. The introduction of internet cattle auctions is one example, but even on the expense side, the ranch finds creative efficiencies. Mike Rose, who managed the ranch for decades as a fourth-generation rancher, became known for a frugal ingenuity. He would salvage old farm equipment and find crafty ways to fix old machinery rather than buying new, squeezing maximum value out of every dollar. This do-it-yourself ethic, common in off-grid homesteading circles, serves the business well in an industry where profit margins are notoriously slim. The ranch also smartly integrated its operations with its eventual parent company. When Quilchena Ranch was purchased by the Douglas Lake Cattle Company in 2013, it merged with Canada's largest cattle outfit, a move that further streamlined costs and administration. For instance, Quilchena no longer needed its own separate accountant or head cow boss. Those roles were absorbed by Douglas Lake's existing team, eliminating redundancy. The general manager of Douglas Lake Ranch likened the acquisition to two puzzle pieces fitting perfectly after years as neighbors. By joining forces, the ranches could share resources and present a united front in the cattle market, all while maintaining Quilchena's unique brand and operations. The deal added Quilchena's 12,000 hectares to Douglas Lake's 160,000 hectares, a total of 172,000 hectares, or 425,000 acres of range, an almost unparalleled scale in North America. Yet, important to locals and loyal visitors, the Quilchena name lived on for its hotel, golf course, and store. The cattle operation might now report to a larger company, but on the ground, it's the same cowboys riding the same ranges, just with a stronger financial backing. Through smart land deals, technological upgrades, and partnerships, Quilchena Ranch has demonstrated a forward-thinking business mindset. It treats ranching not just as a way of life, but as an enterprise that must evolve and diversify. In the next section, we'll see how Quilchena's production ventures extend well beyond beef, including hospitality, retail, and even potential energy projects, all contributing to the ranch's resiliency.
While cattle are Quilchena's lifeblood, the ranch has learned not to put all its eggs in one basket. Over the years, it has branched out into a multifaceted operation that touches everything from tourism to retail to renewable energy. This diversification not only provides additional revenue streams, but also enriches the ranch's story and visitor experience. Let's take a tour of Quilchena's various ventures across all its fields of production. Beef production. First and foremost is Quilchena's core business, raising beef cattle. The ranch is primarily a cow-calf operation, meaning it maintains a large herd of mother cows that produce calves each year. Those calves are grown on the ranch's grass until they are yearlings or approaching 2 years old, at which point they are sold to feedlots for finishing. Quilchena has earned a reputation for producing high-quality, grass-raised beef cattle with excellent genetics and conditioning. In fact, beef from the ranch is proudly marketed under the Douglas Lake Cattle Company's branded beef program. After the 2013 merger, the new owners relaunched the trademarked Douglas Lake Beef label and made it available locally at Quilchena's general store and hotel restaurant. Visitors can literally taste the fruits of the ranch's labor, from juicy grilled steaks to homemade burgers, knowing the meat was born and raised on these very grasslands. For those passing through, filling up at the general store now often includes picking up a package of Douglas Lake beef jerky or steaks, a farm-to-table souvenir of Nicola Valley. Beyond meat, Quilchena also historically dabbled in other livestock farming. Decades ago, previous generations tried their hand at raising turkeys and pigs during tough economic times. Those side ventures were eventually phased out to refocus on cattle, but they exemplify the ranch's willingness to adapt its production mix when needed. Equestrian breeding and services. On the equine side, Quilchena's horse program is another point of pride. While its primary purpose is to supply ranch horses for internal use, the operation has at times verged into commercial breeding and training. Back in the mid-20th century, Quilchena, under then-owner C.N. Woodward of Douglas Lake, invested in top-tier American quarter-horse bloodlines, even owning renowned champions like Pepe San, a world champion cutting horse. The ranch developed a respected quarter-horse breeding program focused on cutting and ranch work, which garnered national awards and recognition.
Although the high-profile competitive breeding was wound down in the 1990s, today Quilchena still maintains around 300–350 horses, including stallions, broodmares, and working geldings. Foals are born every spring and carefully raised and trained with an eye toward preserving those legendary bloodlines and cow-savvy instincts. The best young horses eventually join the ranch's remuda, while others may be sold to other working ranches or recreational riders. Quilchena's wide open spaces and varied terrain also make it an ideal setting for equestrian activities. Trail riding is a popular pastime for guests and residents. One can ride for hours along lake vistas and through sagebrush gullies. In the past, the ranch has hosted riding clinics and even horse sales or demonstrations during community events. And for those not ready to ride a real bronc, the Quilchena Hotel's bar famously featured a mechanical bucking bull in later years, giving tourists a playful taste of rodeo without the broken bones. Hospitality and tourism. One of Quilchena Ranch's most visible diversifications is its venture into hospitality. At the heart of this is the Quilchena Hotel and Resort, a grand country inn established in 1908 that continues to welcome guests, albeit in a reimagined way today. This elegant three-story hotel, with its broad verandas and antique furnished rooms, offers visitors a chance to step back in time and experience authentic ranching heritage firsthand. The hotel features 15 cozy guest rooms decorated with period antiques. Some even have original pedestal sinks and clawfoot tubs down the hall, preserving the early 20th century charm. Downstairs, the saloon and dining room serve as a living museum. Bullet holes pockmark the saloon bar from a wild incident in the 1940s, when a disgruntled cowboy fired shots into a beer keg after being cut off, and those bullets remain lodged in the bar counter to this day. Guests swapping stories over a cold drink can literally touch these scars of history and imagine the rowdy nights of old. Local lore also holds that the bandit Billy Miner, after his capture, was briefly locked up in a shed behind the hotel in 1906, adding an outlaw mystique to the place. The hotel's ambiance is so authentic that it has become a magnet for paranormal enthusiasts, with numerous ghost sightings reported and occasional rentals by ghost hunting groups hoping to meet one of Quilchena's resident spirits. Whether or not one believes in ghosts, there's no denying the palpable sense of history within those walls.
In recent years, the Quilchena Hotel pivoted its business model from a regular motel restaurant to a private rental venue, a move that both addresses modern challenges and adds exclusivity. As of 2022, the hotel can be rented in its entirety for private events, such as weddings, family reunions, or corporate retreats. Guests who book the whole place get all 15 guest rooms, plus the saloon, dining hall, commercial kitchen, and even a conference room at their disposal. It's essentially a private mansion experience. You and your group have an entire Wild West hotel to yourselves, staffed only as you desire, catering brought in as needed. This unique offering has proven attractive for gatherings that want total privacy and a one-of-a-kind atmosphere. Imagine celebrating a wedding surrounded by 19th century decor, or holding a team-building retreat where at night your group has a campfire out back under the stars and tells tales in the saloon with no other guests around. By switching to this model, the hotel has managed to remain viable despite the challenges of remote location and pandemic-era restrictions. It's a clever adaptation that keeps the landmark in use and generating income without the overhead of daily restaurant service or front desk operations. Of course, drop-in visitors in summer can still peek inside. The general store next door carries the keys to give curious travelers a short tour if rooms are unoccupied. Speaking of Quilchena General Store, this century-old establishment is another gem in the ranch's diversified portfolio. Operating since 1912, the General Store has continuously served locals and visitors with provisions and Western memorabilia. Today, it is part convenience store, part souvenir shop, and part community hub. You'll find everything from groceries, snacks, and ice cream to handcrafted jewelry, cowboy hats, and local artwork on its shelves. The store even has a small gas station. The old hitching rails out front have been replaced by gas pumps, signaling changing times. Yet, the moment you step inside, it's like stepping into the past. A pot-bellied stove sits ready for cold winter days, and locals still gather around it to swap stories and news, just as they did 100 years ago.
In a region where ranches are miles apart, this store doubles as a social lounge. Ranchers, tourists, and members of the nearby Upper Nicola First Nation Reserve all rub elbows picking up their mail or a fresh cup of coffee. Notably, the Quilchena store is also an outlet for the ranch's own beef, offering that famous Douglas Lake beef in steaks or ground form for those who want to take home a taste of the ranch. Open seasonally from May through October, since winters are quiet around Nicola Lake, the general store is a must-stop for travelers driving the old Highway 5A, also known as the old Kamloops Road. It's not often you find a store where you can refuel your car, buy a ribeye, get a fishing lure, and hear a tall tale about a local Cowboys escapades, all in one stop. Rounding out Quilchena's tourism offerings are the outdoor recreation facilities on the property. The ranch boasts a picturesque 9-hole golf course that weaves through the willow-lined fields near the hotel. This Quilchena golf course was developed by the family as one of the modern attractions to entice visitors, and it has been popular since the 1980s when a new highway, the Coquihalla, improved access. There's something delightful about teeing off with cattle grazing on distant hillsides and perhaps an osprey soaring overhead. For campers and RV travelers, Quilchena provides the Quilchena Point RV Park and Marina on the shore of Nicola Lake. Here, visitors can park their trailers or pitch a tent and enjoy fishing, boating, or swimming in the lake's clear waters. A small marina and boat launch allow easy lake access for water skiing or paddling, and come evening, the lack of city lights yield brilliant starry skies. The ranch also operates Quilchena Creek Campground and boat storage for those who need a secure spot to stow their vessels. All these recreational side businesses complement the ranch's rustic appeal with a bit of leisure and comfort, appealing to families and adventure seekers alike. By combining ranching and tourism, Quilchena has managed to not only sustain its bottom line, but also provide the public a rare chance to peek into real ranch life. Guests can ride horseback alongside working cowboys, watch the fall cattle drive, then retire to a hearty steak dinner and live music in the saloon. Truly an immersive ranch experience. This blending of sectors has been key to Quilchena's sustainability, as we will explore next. Energy and natural resources. Unlike some ranches in oil-rich regions, Quilchena Ranch's fortunes have always been tied to agriculture rather than petroleum or mining. The Nicola Valley is not known for oil or gas production, and there are no pump jacks dotting Quilchena's pastures. However, the ranch is not untouched by the push for clean energy innovation. In fact, just across Nicola Lake on the Quilchena Reserve, Upper Nicola Band land, there are plans for one of British Columbia's largest solar farms, a 25-megawatt solar project in partnership with the local First Nation and provincial clean energy programs. This forward-looking project, if completed, would blanket a portion of reserve land in solar panels, generating enough renewable electricity for roughly 5,000 homes and injecting revenue into the indigenous community. While the solar farm is not on Quilchena Ranch property itself, it symbolizes the region's embrace of sustainability and the evolving landscape of energy in ranching country. Quilchena Ranch stands to benefit indirectly as well. More local clean power could mean improved electrical infrastructure for these rural areas and potentially opportunities for the ranch to adopt solar or wind for its own operations down the line. Already, the ranch has taken steps towards energy efficiency. Pivot irrigation reduces water pumping costs, for instance, and remains attentive to environmental stewardship in all its ventures. In the next section on sustainability, we'll see how Quilchena's entire approach, from grazing management to tourism, is crafted to preserve the land and lifestyle for the long haul.